Can a single mistake define a lifetime? Marcus carries a secret, a decades-old guilt stemming from one fateful day. Hidden amongst his woodworking tools lies a letter, a symbol of his torment. What happens when his granddaughter unearths this hidden pain? Watch to discover how confronting the past can unlock forgiveness and a path to healing. Marcus lived among scattered tools and timber, a scent he once found comforting, now a burden to his chest. For 40 years, Marcus had carried more than just the tools of his trade. Deep inside a drawer, stained with tears, was a yellowed letter addressed to a family he'd never dare send it to. The letter was his confession, his apology, but more than that, it was his punishment. As a young man, Marcus had caused a car accident that forever changed lives, his own included. The guilt had become a constant hum, an anxious storm in his heart. Every attempt to pick up his tools rekindled the memory, setting his hands to shaking as though they too bore the burden of that terrible day. The workshop, once a haven, had become a chamber of torment. On a quiet afternoon, his granddaughter Clara stepped into the workshop, her energy a bright contrast against the stillness. She was always drawn to the quiet corners of her grandfather's life, and today was no exception. As she explored, she spotted the faded envelope tucked away in the drawer. Uracy. "What's this, Grandpa?" she asked, holding the fragile paper gently. Marcus stiffened, trying to dismiss it with a wave. "Just some old things, nothing important." But Clara's eyes searched his face and found the shadow of years of sorrow in his gaze. "Tell me," she said softly, at last. The decades of silence broke. Marcus began to speak the accident, the letter, and the gnawing guilt that chained him in restless anxiety. Words tumbled out, rough and raw as the wood he once carved, revealing a heart heavy with self-imposed punishment. Clara listened patiently, then met his eyes with a quiet certainty. "Grandpa, maybe the letter isn't for them anymore," she said. "Maybe it's for you." Her words planted a seed of understanding. He wasn't seeking forgiveness from a family long gone, but freedom from the endless cycle of guilt that had trapped him. It was realization enough to spark a change. The next morning, Marcus returned to the workshop, but his steps led him instead beside the hearth, where an old fire still crackled faintly. With trembling but resolute hands, he unfolded the worn envelope and slowly dropped it into the flames. The paper curled and blackened, curling into ash. He watched as the letter, the symbol of his decades-long sentence, was consumed by fire. The weight in his chest lifted slightly, not erased, but softened. The memory remained, but the chains came undone. Returning to the bench, Marcus hesitated only for a moment before grasping a block of wood. His hands, once trembling and restless, now held steady. For the first time in years, the silence in the workshop was filled with the calm rhythm of creation, not guilt. In that quiet moment, Marcus found the peace he had long sought. Not by forgetting the past, but by learning to carry it with kindness toward himself, a step forward into healing and hope. Days turned into weeks, and Marcus returned to his craft with renewed purpose. He no longer shied away from the tools, but embraced them. He found solace in the texture of the wood, the precision of the cuts, and the creation of something beautiful from the raw materials. Clara often visited the workshop, drawn by the rhythmic tapping and the sense of calm that now permeated the space. She would sit quietly, watching her grandfather work, asking questions about the wood, the tools, and the process. Marcus shared his knowledge and skills, teaching Clara the art of woodworking, passing on a tradition that had been a part of his life for so long. As Clara learned, Marcus found a new purpose in his life, not just in creating beautiful objects, but in passing on his legacy to the next generation. The workshop transformed into a place of shared learning, where the scent of sawdust mingled with laughter and the satisfaction of creating something together. Marcus realized that healing wasn't about forgetting the past, but about finding a way to live with it, to learn from it, and to use it to build a better future. He understood that the burdens we carry don't have to define us. They can be a source of strength, empathy, and wisdom. And so Marcus continued to work in his workshop, not as a prisoner of his past, but as a craftsman of his future, shaping wood and shaping his own destiny. Clara, inspired by her grandfather's resilience, began to explore her own artistic talents, finding her voice through painting and sculpture. Together, they created a legacy of healing, creativity, and intergenerational connection, proving that even the heaviest burdens can be transformed into something beautiful. The burdens we carry don't have to break us. They can make us stronger, more compassionate, and more connected to the people we love. In the end, it was the unsent letter that taught Marcus the most valuable lesson of all. Forgiveness starts with oneself.